All right. Thanks so much, Michelle, for agreeing to chat with us a little bit about your interview process. We really appreciate it. Can you tell us, where did you end up landing a role and what is your title?
Yeah. I actually joined TIBCO as an account executive on their SMB, or small and mid-market business team. So I'm an inside sales rep for them, and working with their different softwares and different customers across the US. So it's pretty exciting.
Amazing. Very cool. Okay. So as you're going through the sales interview process, the sales the sales functional area, it can be a quite quick process actually compared to other functional areas. How long was your interview process at TIBCO? And did you have a couple other interview processes going at the same time?
Yeah, I was actually looking back at my interview process was quite quick, which I was very grateful for, because I had been looking for, the right fit for a long time. But I think I had my first manager interview, so getting past the screening interview in mid-May, and then I had an offer by early June. So that was my experience at TIBCO. And then I was interviewing with a couple of other BreakLine partners, kind of while I was interviewing with TIBCO as well, which was really helpful to learn about different positions and different companies, and just more about the partner network that BreakLine has.
Amazing. Very cool.
Yeah.
And so like when you're going through the interview process for sales, they zero in a couple questions in particular that are quite sales focused, other than, tell me about yourself, which is your elevator pitch. So you often hear, why are you interested in sales, or why are you interested in tech sales? How did you answer those? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so my previous background, I was already in sales, and that was something that I really learned from the team at BreakLine, was to really lean into my strengths and better articulate what value I could bring to a company. So I really focused on my ability to build relationships with different customers, and understanding their needs, and kind of identifying their pain points, if you will. But then I also focused in on my natural curiosity. I have a curiosity where I want to learn. And that's really something that I love about my current position, is I get to learn about these companies and their IT structure and their data management structure, and kind of help be a problem solver, if you will.
Love it. That's great. Did you also talk about your metrics from sales, since you were in sales roles before? Did you talk about quotas you had, or any kind of metrics or numbers?
Yeah, that was definitely a question that I got, is, had I been a quota carrying salesperson, had I met my quota, how I had achieved those metrics and those targets. And there was some questions around, like, kind of what metrics that I was measured on, my sales cycle. So yeah, I did try to have that information at the ready when needed.
Okay, perfect. Love it. And then was there anything about the interview process that surprised you? Like whether it was a company that surprised you, or a role, or just anything in general that surprised you?
Yeah, I think going through, well, TIBCO in particular, they had the CCAT assessment. So that was a little surprising, and, kind of kept me on my toes. And that was even, I think, right after my initial phone screening. So I did some prep work and preparing for that. And then some of the questions, I think just comparing one interview style to another was surprising as well. And I also feel you can get a read not only on the company culture, but the people that you're working with, on how they interview you. So that was also something I learned, or maybe a surprise.
Very cool. What do you think made you most successful? So if you were in the shoes of a current BreakLine participant, was it like going to workshops, or was it networking with other BreakLine alums, or getting those reps in for interviews? What made you most successful, do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it was both the BreakLine workshops. So any workshop that I could attend, even if it was outside of what I immediately thought I wanted to do, that was really helpful. Not only to hear the team at BreakLine, but also the other participants at BreakLine, how they frame their answers, their experiences. That was really helpful. Networking was very helpful for my particular situation. Specifically, TIBCO has a really strong partnership with BreakLine, and there are many BreakLine members on the team at TIBCO. So that was also really helpful. And I think overall, I was just really open to kind of any opportunity, any opportunity. I was willing to listen. I was willing to have a conversation. Even if I didn't think it was my first pick, I was open that there might be something I didn't know, or information I might find out that might change my mind. So I think it was a combination of the workshops, networking with other BreakLine alums, and then just being open.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because open-mindedness is one of the top two things that we say make someone successful, hustle and open-mindedness. And it's so important to just learn and be curious and take it all in. So I'm so glad you called that out. Okay, so you've been in your role for about a month now. Can you tell us, what are you doing every day now?
Yeah. So when I was, I guess I'll start from the beginning. I started off with an onboarding process, and kind of going back to BreakLine talking about hustle. I think that's really important even when you start your job too. You really want to do everything you can to hit the ground running. And so it's been a lot of online training and individual learning, me reaching out to teams and resources. So you kind of have to have that hustle and that drive to make your learning experience what you need to be successful in your job. And then also I've now transitioned to having more responsibilities and more projects. So that's been really great too, just to be able to now start working with customers and kind of apply the contextual knowledge to real life customers and talk to them about TIBCO products.
Love it. That's so exciting. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're enjoying it. Okay, any last minute words of advice for breakliners coming up behind you? What would you tell someone that's interested in sales and they're starting this process?
Yeah, if you're interested in sales, really focus in on your strengths. Like what draws you to sales? Kind of, there's a lot of different sales types, sales techniques, and so really hone in on that and be able to articulate that in an interview. But then also, it took me a little while, but just the opportunity to settle into yourself and know that, you're here for a reason. You were selected by the BreakLine team for a reason. And then also, that BreakLine name comes with a lot of people really believe in that BreakLine name, right? They know that they select BreakLiners for a reason. And so really settle into yourself and really trust yourself and know your strengths and keep at it. So it'll just be a matter of time.
I agree. It's so important to be genuine and authentic throughout the interview process and really just kind of, be self-reflective and like, why am I interested in sales or whatever functional area it is? So I think that's really great advice. Like lean into yourself and then just show up as your genuine self and you'll do great.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about your story, like your background, where are you from? Like, tell us about your kind of journey up until this point.
Okay. Yeah, it was a big shift for me to move into the technology industry. So I graduated with a bachelor's of science in hospitality management. And so from there, I transitioned into the wine industry. And so I was working in the wine industry for about 10 years. And I had some really great experiences, both domestically and internationally. And I did a lot of travel. But it really came to a point in my career where I felt that I was more limited than I did have more challenges and opportunities ahead of me. So that's when I decided to join BreakLine. I heard from a friend about the program, and when I looked online, it was really exciting, and I applied and got in. And so I guess that's kind of my professional background a little bit.
And are you from Portland?
Oh.
Or I know you live there now. Are you from there?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from Florida. And so, yeah, so my husband and I moved out to the Pacific Northwest because we love to hike and we love outdoor adventure. And we swear to ourselves we'll never leave. So, yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about like what drew you to TIBCO. So when the team invited you to come on board, like what was it that really compelled you versus a different company that you're interviewing for?
Yeah. So during my elevator pitch, when I was working with TIBCO, that was something, again, doing a lot of self-reflection and kind of figuring out, if I'm going to make this move, where do I want to end up and where do I want to be? And part of my elevator pitch was that I'm a numbers person, and I always have been a numbers person. I've always loved math. I've always loved numbers. And so kind of I wanted to work with data. That was really where I zoned in and honed in on my interests specifically within the technology field. And then TIBCO ended up being a really good fit because it's a software company that helps companies manage their data. So whether it's collecting it, master data management, and then ultimately using that data to make better, faster, smarter business decisions with predictive analysis. So yeah, it was really a great fit for me based on my interests and based on the purpose of the company.
I love that you have the pitch down already.
All my friends joke. They're like, Michelle, you got a real good pitch. I was like, thanks. That was my practice. So constantly always get those reps in.
I love it. How did you, like, it's so interesting hearing you say you're a numbers person and you love data when you were working in the wine industry, and maybe there's things about the wine industry I don't know, and maybe it is data heavy, but that seems like a unlikely path that you kind of were there first. Like how did you end up studying hospitality and landing in wine if you're such a numbers person?
Yeah, that was, well, I actually studied the financial track when I was in hospitality, and I'm originally from Florida, and I went to school at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. So they really do have a strong program and curriculum there for hospitality. And I really would say that my kind of love for numbers shined through being a salesperson. I was constantly saying, where are my numbers? What's my market share? What quota do I need to hit? How am I going to hit it? Kind of making a plan to work backwards. So that's kind of how the two were intertwined, and ultimately how I think I fell into sales, and just had an interest in developing those kind of skills for
Love
work.
that. That's so, yeah, I love how you just framed that. It's exactly how you should be thinking about when you have a portfolio and how you're hitting your numbers. I love that you just described it that way. That was great.
No, thanks.
Okay, last question. Any last thing, like inspiration, insights, anything you want to share with the BreakLine community? It doesn't have to be related to sales, maybe just your experience going through this journey of transitioning industries into tech, or anything you want to share that would be interesting to the BreakLine community.
Yeah, I would just say the networking opportunities that BreakLine, gave me, or at least, made me feel confident to reach out to guest speakers that they had, if I had an interest in either their company or their role, their background, or I just wanted to learn, to get to know that person. So definitely network as much as you can. Reach out to people. People have been very generous, especially in this community. I find that people are really generous, and I actually still keep in contact with some of the people that I was in cohorts with, cheering me on or congratulating me when I changed positions. So yeah, just really lean into that network and build it for the long term too. I think it's always exciting to get a role or a position, but I'm really excited to be a part of the BreakLine community and can continue that relationship, as an alumni. So
that's awesome. And you said there's a pretty strong group at TIBCO of BreakLine alum, yeah?
Yeah, very strong.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so great. It's as more and more BreakLiners get hired, these communities at our different partner companies start to grow, and then just in general across all the portfolio of partners, it's so amazing. Like this community is really strong. And as we move out of COVID, it's great to, I mean, I guess we're not out of COVID. I guess this is here to stay, but as we move out of the more severe aspects of it, it's great to be able to like start to do things in person and get together for those kinds of events with alums.
Yeah, and that was one of what the alumni from BreakLine really welcomed me into TIBCO. I mean, just providing me training resources or just their perspective and kind of understanding their role. So it was really helpful for me to get a full picture of the company as well. So yeah,
amazing. That's so great.
Enough.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us and telling us about your interview journey and landing at TIBCO. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying it a month in. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time to connect. And yeah, if I could be of any help to any other BreakLiners, please let me know.